Good afternoon, students. This lecture is in continuation to the earlier lecture which we had on our Kajurana tree. And as you have already been, we have discussed the poem and the poetess and the line to line interpretation of the poem. So, these are the few important question answers which I shall be discussing with you today. And I have given you already the websites, what you say, the reference is literatures.in. So just follow these question answers because you can expect these question answers in your exams. Now, see the first question. What does Torudat? Students, you have to like here. What does Torudat compare the Python to and why? You the first beginning lines. So. Um, the creeper may seem serpentine like the intertwisted fibers of Wordsworth yew trees. It may resemble a reptile that can crush its victims to death, but the Dutch casuarina tree is too strong to be so subjugated and destroyed. Instead, it displays its might by standing firm and erect and effortlessly wearing the luxurious creeper laden with Christmas blossoms as a mere scarf beautifully and brightly patterned. The gallant Cajurana defies the parasitic creeper that clings to it. The image might at first seem dark and foreboding, but the image ultimately emphasizes the great strength of the tree, Cajurana tree. For some readers, the tree symbolizes the ancient and venerable culture of India, while the huge encircling creeper symbolizes the potentially deadly influence of colonialism. Most immediately, though the creeper itself seems to add a kind of beauty to the tree, it after all is called a scarf, a word with fairly positive connotations. Now, students, you can have many connotations. Literature itself, how you interpret it, you can have different perspective. So, I have given you through this note a one perspective. You can have many more perspectives. Now, come to the second question: Why is who is the giant? What is it wearing? The reason of its comparing. Now. Uh, the beautiful last poem in the ancient ballad and legends of Hindustan by Toru Dutt, published in 1882, 5 years after her death, in which the loving and observant spirit of this gifted Indo Anglian poet finds perhaps its highest expression, bears a simple but attractive title, Our Keshurana Tree. The tree is metaphorical, said as a giant due to its huge size, strength, and boldness. A creeper, because you see the poem itself is having the title Our Kajurana Tree. A creeper that intertwines the study Kajurana tree. Is compared to a python winding up to its very summit near the stars. The image might at first seem dark and foreboding, but the image immediately emphasizes the great strength of the tree itself. For some readers, the tree symbolizes the ancient and venerable culture of India, while the huge encircling creeper symbolizes the potentially dead influence of colonialism. Most immediately, though the creeper itself seems to add a kind of beauty to the tree, it after all is called a scarf, a word with fairly positive connotations. Now, students, come to the question. Third question I'll be reading. Why does the memory of the tree blind her with tears? The beautiful last poem, this is the introduction. In the third stanza of the poem, that reveals that the beauty of the tree is no more than an added gift. Its actual importance lies in the fact that it is a part of the Dutt's existence, a reminder of family ties, of the warmth shared by three siblings. Her eyes fill as she recalls the happy past and remembers happy past and remembers the three carefree children playing in the garden under its branches, and the tree loyally responds to her plaintive mode. With the poet, we strain our ears to hear the rustling of the leaves, the, to quote, dirge like murmur, unquote, somewhat like the, to quote, murmuring, unquote, that Wordsworth once heard from Glamoras in most caves. Her tree there, tree moans her loss, and the airy speech she hopes may reach the sun, untraversed terrain of the death. The extent of Toru's anguish, as quite helplessly she had to watch her brother and sister die. Now, that is why, there are tears in her eyes when she recalls how they used to play siblings under beneath that tree, may actually be felt in these lines. Yet, unlike Keats, Toru does not express any desire to fade far away and dissolve. Their Casuarina tree does not make her long for easeful death. Instead, even though its timelessness mocks the transience of the human world, the tree is to her a support, a reminder of the joy she once experienced with Abju and Aru. So, with the passion of a loving sister, she remembers her sweet companions and cries, to quote, for your sake shall the tree be ever dear. Now, students, we have to remember this tree is not very much, remembered due to its strength, but because of her childhood memories. Now, her brother and sister, though dead, are never too far away from her, and she does not wish to erase them from her memory. Now, come to the fourth question, students. How does Toru Dutt connect the tree to the memory of distant land? The beautiful last poem in the ancient ballads and legends of Hindustan by Toru Dutt, published in 1882, 5 years after her death, in which the loving and observant spirit of this gifted Indo-Anglian poet finds perhaps its highest expression, bears a simple but attractive title, Our Casuarina Tree. So, in the fourth stanza of the poem, the poet talks about the memory of distant land. The significance of the word unknown that connects the third stanza with the fourth may thus be fully realized if her personal sorrow, as well as her own diasporic existence in the V, is kept in mind. In the closing line of the third stanza, she speaks of the unknown and unexplored territory that Abju and Aru had entered, never to return. But as the opening line of the fourth stanza claims, the unknown is, to quote, yet well known, unquote, as it can be reconstructed, imagined, or even viewed through the eye of faith. It humanizes the tree, for its lament is a human recordation of pain. So, now you must have understood this question, how does Dutt connect the tree to the memory of distant land? So, it humanizes the tree, for its lament is a human recordation of pain and regret. And the tree's lament, which may reach the land of the dead, transcends territorial boundaries and is heard by her in distant land, and even on the classic shores of France and Italy. Toru's description of both the silent earth, to quote, tranced in a dreamless swoon, unquote, bathed in the silver light of the moon, and to quote, sheltered bay, unquote, with its gently undulating waves, is enthralling. So, there are many more questions which you can also make out and answer to them. So, you can follow the same pattern. Thank you, students. Thank you for your